The bar went silent the moment the teenage girl pushed through the wooden door. A soft jingle of the bell cut through the air, but what followed was a ripple of laughter, low, teasing, and full of disbelief. She didn't look like she belonged there. Not even close. A slim girl, barely 16 or 17, stood in the doorway wearing an oversized hoodie, jeans worn at the knees, and a leather vest that hung too big on her narrow shoulders. But it wasn't the vest alone that caught attention. It was the club patch sewn onto the back, bold, unmistakable, and impossible for any biker to ignore. Iron Wolves, 1971. Founding member. A patch no one had seen worn by anyone outside the club, and certainly never by a kid. The men at the bar exchanged glances. Some grinned widely. One choked on his beer. Another elbowed his buddy, whispering, "She get that off eBay." The girl didn't flinch. She simply walked forward, steady and unshaken, as if the row of rough-looking bikers with leather vests and tattooed arms didn't intimidate her at all. She reached the middle of the room and stopped. And when she turned around, giving them full view of that massive, founding member rocker patch, the laughter died in an instant. Because suddenly, every man in the room recognized the eagle skull emblem stitched onto her back. They had seen it before. They owed their club to the man who once wore that exact patch. And he wasn't just a founding member. He was the legend who built their brotherhood from nothing. The hook into her story. Her voice was quiet but unshaken. "Which one of you," she asked, "knew Marcus Hale?" 5 beer glasses paused midair. Several guys blinked. A few straightened up. Because that name wasn't just familiar. Marcus Hale was the Marcus, one of the original 3 men who started the Iron Wolves, a man who had vanished decades ago after tragedy struck his family. But one thing was certain. He never had a daughter. At least that's what everyone believed. The girl lifted her chin. "I'm his daughter and I need your help." The room froze. Because if she was telling the truth, then the child of an Iron Wolves founder had just walked into their bar wearing his vest. And they would be forced to hear her out, no matter what came next. Her backstory: the first challenge. The girl's name was Arya Hale, and she had spent her entire life believing her father was dead. Her mother told her he had abandoned them, that he had chosen the bike and the road over his family, that he didn't care. But every story her mother told had holes in it, holes Arya spent years trying to fill. When her mother died suddenly, Arya was left alone in the world. No relatives, no guardians. She survived by taking temporary jobs, sleeping in shelters, and carrying the only treasure her mother left behind. A wooden box with Marcus Hale's vest inside. A vest that smelled faintly like leather, gasoline, and smoke. A vest her mother made her promise never to wear. But Arya had reached a point where she had too many questions and not enough answers. And the vest, it felt less like a relic and more like a last attempt to reach the father she never met. Inside the wooden box was a faded photograph. Marcus with a group of bikers outside a bar with the sign Iron Wolves Den. Arya searched that name for weeks until she finally found it. A small bar outside a quiet town. She had nothing left to lose. So she put on the vest and walked in. The room of bikers, second challenge. At first, the bikers didn't know what to make of her. Steele, the club president, a tall man with silver hair and a voice that sounded like gravel, looked her up and down. "You're wearing a sacred patch, kid," he said, standing slowly. "You'd better not be lying." Arya didn't back down. "I'm not." Another biker, Tank, scratched his beard. Marcus never mentioned no daughter. Arya pulled the photograph from her pocket. He didn't know. That silenced the room completely. Then she told them everything. Her mother, the wooden box, how she grew up without knowing who her father was. She told them about the night her mother whispered, barely conscious, I kept you hidden to protect you. He never knew. And then she left Arya with Marcus's vest and a single sentence. Find him if you can. He deserves to know you existed. But there was one devastating truth Arya hadn't told anyone yet. Marcus Hale was already dead. She had found his obituary during her search. He died 3 years ago, before she could ever meet him. Arya's voice cracked when she said it. I didn't come here to claim anything. I came because I wanted to know what kind of man he was, if he ever would have wanted me. Steele swallowed hard. Tank stared at the floor. The rest watched her with expressions that had lost all humor. Because Marcus Hale wasn't just a biker to them. He was the heart of their club. A brother. A man who had carried all of them through fights, losses, and hard times. And seeing his vest, his exact vest, on the shoulders of a teenage girl who had suffered alone tore something open inside them. What came next? Their resolution. Steele stepped forward and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Arya, your father saved my life twice, he said. He was loyal, brave, stubborn as hell. And if he knew about you, there's no doubt in my mind he would have fought the whole damn world to be in your life. Another biker ghost wiped his eyes without hiding it. He loved strong people, and you walked into a biker bar wearing his vest. That's strength. Tank nodded. Kid, your family whether you asked for it or not. But Arya shook her head slowly. I don't want pity. I don't want to be alone anymore. I don't have anyone else. Steele exhaled sharply. You're not alone, not anymore. One by one, the men placed their own vests on the table, a symbolic gesture of unity, a sign of loyalty and acceptance. And then Steele did something no one in the club had ever seen him do. He knelt. We failed Marcus when he needed us most, he said quietly, but we won't fail his daughter. The room echoed with agreement. From that moment forward, Arya became part of the Iron Wolves, protected, supported, and no longer invisible. The biggest challenge, her final test. But acceptance alone wasn't enough. The Iron Wolves had enemies, rival groups that hated Marcus, debts that were never settled, and a world that didn't look kindly on a teenager living with bikers. One of these rivals, the Black Serpents, heard about Arya wearing Marcus's vest, and they saw it as an opportunity to stir trouble. Arya became their target. One night when she was walking home from work, a van pulled up beside her. Men she didn't know stepped out, surrounding her quickly. They mocked her vest, insulted her father, and reached for her. But the Iron Wolves had been following quietly from the shadows. And before the Serpents could lay a finger on her, the roar of engines shook the street. Headlights flooded the alley. One by one, the Iron Wolves rolled in 20 riders, leather vests, steely eyes, their engines growled like thunder. The Serpents backed away instantly. Steele rode forward, towering over them. His voice held no mercy. You want to fight someone? Fight us, but the girl stays under our protection. The Serpents left without a word. From that night on, Arya wasn't just Marcus's daughter. She was Arya of the Iron Wolves, a symbol of legacy, courage, and belonging. The inspiring message, a strong ending. Arya later visited her father's grave, this time not alone, but with her entire new family behind her. She placed the photograph on his headstone and whispered, I found them, Dad, and they found me. For the first time in years, she felt peace in her heart. Because sometimes family isn't the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the one that finds you when you're lost. And sometimes a single patch on a jacket, a symbol of a legacy, has the power to change a life. Her father didn't get the chance to protect her. But the Iron Wolves would. For the rest of her life.